I used to work at this mall, and I would get to work at about 9:15, and there was always this elderly couple there during the week. And I worked at that mall for about 2.5 or 3 years. And they would pull up when I pulled up, and they would get out of the car, go in, and do their laps around the mall. And I began to notice over time he had to help her get out of the car. So I thought maybe she's sick. He'd help her get into a wheelchair. And then over time, I would notice she was fighting him as he was helping her get out of the car. And I put two and two together and realized she has Alzheimer's. And he would be at that mall faithfully. He never broke that routine. And from time to time, it would get me choked up, because we know the statistics that if a woman gets sick, that the man is more likely to leave her. If his wife dies, they're going to pop up and have a new boo within the next couple of weeks, or they might already have somebody waiting in the wings. But when I see things like that, that's one of the reasons why I have such high standards for if I were to ever get into a relationship again. Despite what people think about me based on the content that I post, I think that a relationship that is healthy between two amazing people can enhance your life. It's an absolute beautiful thing. But the issue is a lot of women aren't willing to wait for that. A lot of us want the title. We want to be somebody's girlfriend. We want to be somebody's fiance. We want to change our last name. We want to have a wedding. We want to have a ring. But a lot of us don't want to wait for the actual substance, the actual health, what's actually going to make that relationship worthwhile and a healthy thing. Now, don't get it twisted. If I wanted a boyfriend right now, I could get one easily. I could have been married last year if I wanted to be. But I want someone amazing who's going to enhance my life. I worked really hard to get where I am. You guys have no idea the shit that I've been through. And I also realize the weight that I carry of being a parent. I want to be a role model to my kids. I want to There are a huge reason why I changed my standards many years ago and I stopped being a pick me and all that, because I want to live a life that if my kids were to replicate it, I wouldn't be disappointed and embarrassed and ashamed and worried about them. I want to be my kids' role model. I don't want to be a do as I say, not as I do type parent. I think it's insanity to be preaching to your kids about how to have standards and how to dump this guy if they do this, and teaching your son how to not treat a woman this way and do that, but you're accepting the total opposite. And you know what? Realistically, at the end of the day, nothing is foolproof. You could be married to Prince Charming and then 20 years in, he's like, fuck you, I'm out. But I at least want to be able to say, I did my due diligence as much as humanly possible. To where if something happens and that man flips the script, I am literally, honestly blindsided. But I do want to know that if he had shown red flags, I got on that shit. I didn't let things slide. I didn't overlook things. I wasn't desperate to be with him, knowing that things wouldn't turn out well, but I just wanted to be with someone. A lot of women aren't going to meet the love of their life until they're much older. And a harsh reality is some women never meet the love of their life. There are women who have gone to their grave, never having been married, never having been in a relationship, and it wasn't necessarily because they didn't want those things, it's just because it never happened for them. And I feel like if an angel or a fairy came to a lot of women and said, hey, you're never going to be in a relationship, or you're going to be 50 or 60 before you meet him, they would have a nervous breakdown. I know there was a point in my life when I probably would have been like, fuck that shit, and I would have found anyone. But you have to be willing to wait for great, or you're going to settle for bullshit. But everybody deserves the type of man who would stick with them when you don't even remember what your name is anymore.